game one because he has Fire Fist Striker. So
yes.
he has all the tools you would ask for the matchup, but it is still really bad.
As you like to put it, if the opponent taps 4 mana, you lose the game.
You lose the game. You lose any of their 4-drops. Although Titan Strength is good against Domestication, so we can beat that card.
Looks like Sidher was able to win the roll, so he will begin things with a Judge's Familiar. If you're Rand sitting here on your winning end, you can't be too happy with the matchup you're seeing here.
No, absolutely not. This is about as bad as it gets for Mono Red in terms of any normal deck in the metagame.
And if you're Ricky and you see your opponent lead up for the Rakdos Cackler, you got to be thrilled. Going to fire in here with the Judge's Familiar for 1. We'll see what the turn 2 play is going to be.
Uh-oh. So you're saying there's a chance.
So we may not have a turn 2 play.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Looks like Ricky may have taken some mulligans here. So looks like we're going to begin here with Kevin Rand. He can certainly start by attacking for 2, but he might have an Ash Zealot or something else to cast. So, man, Ricky's only on 6. There's a Legion Loyalist. In we go for 3. Sidher going to go down to 17. Oh, but a wrap. Ugh.
And that was why that land needed to get played before combat. Rapid Hybridization is a really potent trick in this matchup here. I don't think it was on Kevin's radar. Now, he does have a 1-drop to follow up here with. He can play Shock to finish it off or play a backup Cackler, but a misstep there. I think he would have been very well served using a Rumble Belt Maka this turn to trade with that token.
Yeah, or actually just beat it straight up in combat. Well, the Maka, obviously.
Yeah.
You trade the Maka with the token, but, you know, Rand would still have 2 creatures in play. Now he has to fire for Shock, and this exchange is something that Sidher has to be very happy about.
It's a good start. He needs to make a land drop this turn, but that was the sequence that Ricky needed to get back into this thing.
Does not find a land on the top of his deck, so just has to pass the turn back over to Rand. Draws a copy of Titan Strength. Looks like we're going to have an Ash Zealot here in a moment, potentially.
Well, he's contemplating playing the Cackler this turn, so he has access to Battalion next turn. But I think that I would still just, you know, Kevin's hand is bottlenecked on action here. I think I would still play the Ash Zealot in this spot just to get the 2-mana spell out of the hand.
Titan Strength, going to target Legion Loyalist, so this will be an attack here for 4. Can follow that up with an Ash Zealot to use of all your mana for the turn.
Yeah, so he's tapping out regardless. I still think I would have preferred Ash Zealot here, but I do like the fact that Kevin is using a Titan Strength if he wants to in the spot. Again, mana is going to be at a premium this game, so just tap out every turn.
Now we'll have the post-combat Rakdos Cackler will be unleashed. Sidher going to draw a card. He just wants an island. It's just going to be a Cloud from the Raptor. Has to pass the turn back. He does have a Frostburn Weird in hand. Not sure if there's a Tidebinder Mage over there. But what we do know is that he does not have another land. So Rand draws a copy of Robot Maka, but no interest in casting that. It's time to get in the red zone with a little battalion action. There's an attack for 5.
And now Ricky's potentially looking at lethal next turn.
Ugh.
And there is the Nykthos.
The one of Nykthos rearing its ugly head. Sidher going to be attacked here for 5 more. He's going to go down to 5. Looks like maybe a Maka and another Maka, and that's going to do it. Kevin Rand's going to win game number 1 here over Ricky Sidher very quickly as he fumbled on lands. Mono Red aggro up a game over Mono Blue.
That's big. I mean, winning a game on the draw, he has to for this matchup, and he has to capitalize on those kind of draws from Ricky.
Well, we're going to turn our attention to the sideboards here, and things get much better for Sidher. Outside of drawing lands, he does have a Curious Dismissal, 2 Gainsay, 2 Negate, 2 Dissolve, 3 Domestication, 2 Dispel, a Cyclonic Rift, and 2 copies of Jace Memory Adept. Obviously, we love Domestication.
It's tough here. Domestication is very powerful, as is Jace. The question is just how many 4-drops you want in your deck. Keep in mind, Master of Waves is lights out in this matchup. It's good enough to win the game on its own. So do you want to be adding a bunch of Jaces and Domestications to your deck as well against a deck that's trying to beat you down? It's tough to say. So I think that Ricky probably wants to go up to something like 7 or 8 4-drops. I don't think he necessarily wants to have the whole package in because he has to be concerned about his mana curve as well.
It's 5 mana. Other thing, you know, the counter spells here, you know, you can make an argument for Dispel. There is a Cyclonic Rift too. But I think the big card here is Domestication, and we'll see how many, I'm not so much how many he's going to board in, but what he's going to board out. I think the Bidens will come out, and we'll see some other one of will come out here. But on Rand's side, you've got the red deck list in front of you. What do you like?
4 Skullcrack, 4 Eidolon, the Great Revel, 2 Searing Blood, 2 Harness by Force, 2 copies of Mizzium Mortars. I like 2 Mizzium Mortars and 2 Searing Bloods. If Rand's on the play, I think there's an argument for Eidolon, but the Blue Devotion deck is very effective at racing as well. I would not want that card on the draw.
Yeah, I don't like Eidolon on the draw at all here. On the play, sure. You can maybe steal a game with that, get 4 points, or, hey, even 6 points of damage. But on the draw, no thank you.
Correct.
Well, both players will shuffle up here. game number 2 will be underway. Kevin Rand able to steal one, something very important for the matchup.
Yep.
Big win game 1.
Curious to see how he's going to sideboard 2. The Titan strength does give him an important angle in this matchup. It sounds silly to say, but having a good answer to domestication is a huge boon for Kevin in this matchup.
Yeah. It's one way to beat it.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's the only way to beat it.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but hey, it gets the job done. Both players going to finish shuffling up here, but we will turn our attention very quickly to, of course, our modern Premier IQs that we're bringing to the Open Series beginning in July.
Yeah, we're going to have this. The first one's going to debut in the Baltimore Open. $5,000 in cash prizes. All of the all the Open IQs are going to be modern format. Open points to all participants. Top 4 invites to the Invitational. More side event prizes. You can also run this at your local store, or if you're a tournament organizer, you can hold these as well. We already have a few of them set up, ready to go for the later summer and fall months. We might be able to see that momentarily. But again, we're going to start, you see it here on the screen, Tampa, Tacoma, Knoxville, Denver, and Roseville, Minnesota from August through November. So we already have these lined up and ready to go. $5,000 cash prizes again, 4 invites to the Invitational, Open Series points to all participants. And this is going to be available at every Open starting in Baltimore in July for you modern enthusiasts out there.
And the big thing here is that the schedule changes not only to help you guys, but help us as well. Some of these days can run long.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're bumping up the Legacy Open an hour earlier on Sundays now. And the Standard Open, we're going to be running the elimination rounds entirely on Sunday as well, which means that instead of, if you make the top 8 of the Standard Open, let's say, you're playing 10 rounds of Swiss. Then, you got to meet up with Andrew Stroud and Nick Miller. You got to take photos, fill out paperwork, all that stuff. And then we got to play the quarterfinals. That's a lot of time to run through. And people show up, honestly, on Sundays exhausted. And, we run into issues. Sometimes we're running over the time that we have the tournament hall for all that stuff. So this smooths out the tournament quite a bit. We'll be getting out of here a little bit earlier every Saturday and Sunday going forward, which is good for us, good for the players, good for the staff, good for you watching the event.
Yeah.
So all this just kind of cleans up a lot of the tournaments. We'll make them end much more around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, as opposed to midnight, 1 o'clock, 1:30.
I think it's just a better experience for everybody.
Exactly.
Those playing and those viewing at home.
Absolutely.
So a welcome change that will begin in Baltimore. I know that tournament will be covered by myself as well as Osta Plebedovic. So looking forward to that. I love going to the Inner Harbor in the city of Baltimore. And while I'm there, hopefully I can catch an Orioles game. And I am going to catch a Paramore concert.
Oh, that's lucky.
Yes,
for
sir.
You.
That's a bit of a jab, I think.
Well,
Not a big Paramore fan, are you?
I'm not, but it's within the realm of I understand why people like it.
Okay.
So it at least passes that test.
Oh, I can respect that.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Not for me.
Judges failure to begin, and we have a Rakdos Cackler on Rand's side. And Sidher, I'm hoping he has a second land this game.
Well, it also needs to be a second blue mana.
It's a Mutavault. And now there's a Cloudfin Raptor. So Ricky's been having some trouble in these games. And what is a very, very positive match for him? These are ways for him to lose.
Oh, for sure. I mean, not having a second blue source of mana creates all sorts of problems. No access to Night Veil Spectre. He may not have a third land for all we know. And then things get really bad.
Rand, you see a couple of lands over there trying to figure out exactly what he wants to do. This is 2 mana. And that is an Ash Zealot, so an attack here for 4 is a good place to start. Sidher down to 16.
Great opening here. Ash Zealot's a pretty reasonable threat against mono blue.
Yeah. I do not think that Ricky Sidher has a land, my friend.
He does have a rapid hybridization here, and if Kevin gets sloppy, rapid hybridization could easily be worth multiple cards.
There's Judge's Familiar. That's going to evolve the Cloudfin Raptor. Sidher looks like he is stuck on lands again. This mono blue deck does play 25 of them, but he has had some real difficulty putting a couple into play and working his way towards Master of Waves.
And he doesn't want to block this turn, which I totally understand because, you've seen Makas, you've seen all Titan Strength, blocking is fraught with peril, but at the same time, how many of these hits can you take?
Yeah, really no good blockers right now. You see Rand does have a Legion Loyalist at the ready. Looks like an Ash Zealot as well, so this could be in a big attack here for Kevin. Looks like it's going to be. There's Ash Zealot. Fire with Legion Loyalist. This is an attack for 7.
And what's interesting about this matchup, too, is a lot of Mono Blue's weaker cards are very powerful against Mono Red. One of the cards in Blue Devotion that's the worst against Mono Red is Thassa.
Yep.
Because you just don't have time to take a turn off.
Yep.
And it's exactly this kind of board. if Ricky draws a land next turn, if his plays Thassa, I don't think he can tap out for that.
Sidher finally does draw an island. So that's a start in the right direction for him, but he is under the gun in a big way. And Legion Loyalist is actually going to cause some problems here due to the text on it. And now there is a Frostburn Weird, so pass the turn back will Sidher. Rand will take a draw here.
And this is such a relief if you're Kevin here. Every turn that Ricky taps out with no blue mana up means you're not worried about counter spells, you're not worried about bounce spells, you're not worried about rapid hybridization. Makes combat much easier. It's basically face up on the table here.
Yeah, just those Judge's Familiars. That's the only real counter spells you have to be afraid of.
And I think Kevin has multiple copies of Searing Blood in hand. It's complicated because of the Judge's Familiars, but he's likely going to be able to squeeze very good value out of them inside of combat here. If that Weird goes in front of any of the 2-power creatures, if Cloudfin Raptor gets involved in combat at all, Searing Blood can do a lot of work.
He's got some real decisions to make right now on what's best moving forward. It's very tough to say.
I would just get in with everything.
See how things go, put the onus on your opponent.
You got 2 Searing Bloods in hand, and things aren't getting better for you. I mean, Master Waves is still a time bomb in all of this as well. Keep that in mind. So,
and you see a shrugging of the shoulders, and yep, he comes to the same conclusion you do. Let's get it in, let's announce the Italian Trigger, and let's see how things go.
Yeah.
And Sidher says, let's do some blocking. Don't forget, those creatures do have first strike, so that's a big deal right now. Legion Loyalist has been looking pretty good this weekend.
It's good in this matchup. It's not good all the time against Mono Blue. Sometimes if they're just on Nightveil Specters and Frostburn Weirds, it looks like a joke. But in this game, it's very good.
Sidher going to see if there's anything they can do to play around some potent effects here. Again, these creatures will have trample. Now there's your double block over there, Legion Loyalists. So going to try to beat that thing in combat. So there are your blocks. And again, all the creatures that Rand does have first strike and trample right now due to that 1/1 Goblin Soldier. Now Rand's trying to figure out what's the best way for me to use these spells. 2 Searing Bloods and a Titan Strain. It's a good place to be.
Well, he can start off the action here by just trying to Searing Blood the Weird. If that resolves, then he can try to Searing Blood the Raptor. If that involves Ricky sacrificing a Judge's Familiar, then the Legion Loyalist finishes off the other one.
Well, there's a Titan Strength. So that's going to be on the Ash Zealot.
This is not shabby either. I mean, it's basically the same setup that he's trying to do here.
Yep.
And it plays a little bit better around the second copy of Judge's Familiar.
So there will be some trample damage involved now. You saw the scry take place. I think the important thing here for Sidher is to get that Legion Loyalist off the table, and that's what he's certainly trying to do.
If Legion Loyalist dies, it opens up the door for Master of Waves to allow Ricky to get back into this game. As long as Legion Loyalist is in play, Ricky's best card still doesn't do anything.
This is very important that Rand does not make a misstep here. And now it looks like he's going to fire off a Searing Blood.
I think this one's got to go on the Weird.
I think I agree with you.
I mean, Kevin can allow first strike damage to resolve first, and then Searing Blood after the fact. That's fine. And it looks like that's what he's doing here.
So there's your first strike damage. There goes your Cloudfin Raptor. A little bit of trample damage will be dealt here. 5 minus 3 is 2. Yep, so a bunch of damage will come across. And now it looks like we're going to see a Searing Blood here on something.
He has a third Searing Blood in hand, so he can go ahead and Searing Blood the Weird here. And even if Ricky untaps and plays Master of Waves, the third Searing Blood in hand should finish things off.
So there's a Searing Blood taking care of the Frostborn after first strike damage has been dealt. And of course, Judge's Familiar can't counter this. So that's going to bite it too.
He's got him on the ropes. I think the Searing Blood's going to finish things off here.
Yeah, I think so. That second Searing Blood in hand looks like it's going to get the job done.
And what an upset. I mean, this is...
Yeah, Sidher, all he can do is pass a turn back. And that's an extension of the hand. Kevin Rand is going to win this match over Ricky Sidher. 2-0. Mono red aggro able to get by mono blue.
Yeah, and you can see the frustration on Ricky's face there. Had 2 really rough draws there. His hand in the second game was functional, but obviously not having double blue on turn 2 is really rough there. Kevin's draws were merciless and was able to 2-0 both games on a draw against. I'm sure if you ask Kevin, this is the worst matchup
easily
in the room for
easily.
him.
This is easily the worst matchup in the room. This is not the pairing that you want when you're playing for top 8, but he was able to squeak by with some good draws and some tight play, and chances are he'll be able to draw into the top 8 next round.
Now, in Kevin's defense here, if you were to build a mono red list to have the best possible matchup against Blue Devotion possible, he has all the cards you want.
Yep.
He's got Fire Fist Striker, Burning Tree Emissary, Titan Strength, Legion Loyalist, Cheap Removal. All of his spells are instants. I mean, this is the recipe you would want. Still a horrible matchup, but the cards that Kevin added to his deck that a lot of red decks don't have access to, or the total sum of what Kevin has access to, was critical in beating Ricky that game.
Very, very impressive win there for Mono Red Aggro over Mono Blue Devotion. Kevin Rand wins this match 2-0, and again, with any luck, he'll be able to draw into elimination rounds, and it looks like we may have a red deck in the top 8.
Yeah.